Breaking news coming out of San Francisco. Jonathan Kuminga finished the regular season averaging 15.3 points and 4.6 rebounds across 47 games for the Golden State Warriors. And while those numbers may look solid at first glance, the number of games played and the times he was left out of the main rotation have sparked a new wave of questions both inside and outside the franchise. What's going on with Kuminga? Why did one of the NBA's most promising young players appear in just over half the season? And what could that mean for the immediate and long-term future of the Warriors? Since the 2021 draft, when Kuminga was selected 7th overall, expectations around him have always been high. Not just because of his athletic talent, but because of the context in which he arrived. A championship team trying to retool without giving up on title contention. Steve Kerr and the Warriors front office bet on a strategy that few franchises have dared to try, developing young talent while still competing at the highest level. Kuminga was the face of that new generation, the hope that the team could transition smoothly from Curry to the future. But 3 seasons later, Kuminga's story is still being written in question marks. In 47 games, he performed consistently. He had moments where he was the main offensive option off the bench. At times, he even stood out among the starters. But the number of games he actually played remains far from ideal for a player who should be solidifying his role in the rotation. In an 82-game season, Kuminga missed 35, an absence that, although not widely explained by the franchise, is starting to raise doubts about his real place in Golden State's plans. And before we go any further, if you're a Warriors fan, if you follow the silent drama behind the scenes of the NBA, or if you're just someone who enjoys understanding what really drives a franchise's decisions, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Here, we don't just drop headlines. We dive deep into the full narrative and show you what's truly at stake. Back to the analysis. The central issue isn't just the numbers, it's the pattern. Kuminga started the season with momentum, getting opportunities and valuable minutes. But as the calendar moved forward, his presence fluctuated. Sometimes he exploded with 20-point performances. Other nights, he disappeared from the rotation, even while healthy. That inconsistency could have multiple causes, from coaching decisions to tactical adjustments based on team needs. But what stands out most is the silence surrounding it. There's no clear explanation, no strong position from the coaching staff. Just time passing, and Kuminga slowly seeming more like show talent than a project in full evolution. Warriors fans, used to follow in the greatness of a dynasty built on patience and intelligence, are beginning to wonder, does the coaching staff truly trust Kuminga? Or has he yet to earn the spot many expected would naturally be his? And more importantly, how much longer can the team afford to wait? Jonathan Kuminga is, without question, a player with unique tools. His athleticism, physical strength, defensive instincts, and transition game make him a rare type of forward. But in the NBA, talent isn't enough. You need fit, you need timing, and above all, you need trust. If Kerr and his staff are still unsure about Kuminga's role, that needs to be resolved. Because in a franchise where the championship window is closing, every decision counts. So far, there are no confirmed trade rumors involving Kuminga. No concrete proposals circulating in the media. No official sources suggesting he's on the market. But a lack of public information doesn't mean there's no movement behind the scenes. Often, the most decisive processes happen in silence. And the fact that Kuminga played less than 60% of the regular season is, by itself, a data point that raises eyebrows within the fan and analyst community. What are the Warriors waiting for? Is there a clear development plan for Kuminga going forward? Or was this season, in practice, a turning point? The upcoming offseason will demand tough decisions. The roster has aged. Curry still plays at a high level, but he can't carry the team alone. Klay Thompson is no longer on the roster. Draymond Green remains a heart of the team, but his physical limitations are becoming more apparent. And in that context, Kuminga needs to be more than just potential. He needs to be presence. Maybe those 47 games are just a statistical footnote. Maybe they're a silent warning sign that something's not quite right. And right now, the question isn't just about what Kuminga can become. It's about how much longer Golden State is willing to wait for it. Now I want to hear from you. The ones following every step of this franchise. What do Kuminga's 47 games this season say about his future? Do you believe he's still the cornerstone of the next Warriors era? Or do you think his time with the franchise is starting to run out? Drop your opinion in the comments and share this video with other NBA fans who live for what happens off the court just as much as on it. But perhaps the most surprising part isn't even Jonathan Kuminga's up and down season. Maybe the real earthquake is just beginning to rumble in Milwaukee. Immediately after the Milwaukee Bucks were eliminated in Game 5 against the Indiana Pacers, the atmosphere around the NBA changed. This wasn't just an early playoff exit. It was the abrupt end of an era that had seemed to be reborn with the arrival of Damian Lillard. But fate was cruel. Lillard tore his Achilles during the series. And just like that, what was meant to be one of the league's deadliest duos turned into a silent tragedy. The injury is expected to sideline him for most of next season, which, in practical terms, means one thing. Giannis Antetokounmpo is out of the 2025 to 2026 playoffs before the season even begins. And that's when the rumors started. First as whispers, then as serious speculation. What will Giannis do now? 2 MVP titles, 7 likely All-NBA first-team selections, and averages of 30.4 points, 11.9 rebounds, and 6.5 assists this past season. Giannis is a player at his peak. And more than that, he's a relentless competitor. He's made it clear in past interviews that he doesn't want to waste his prime, that he doesn't want to be stuck with a team that isn't seriously contending for a title. And with Lillard out indefinitely, the Bucks are just that, an incomplete, aging team with few short-term options. On social media, the reaction was instant. Trade suggestions started exploding with fury. Miami Heat, New York Knicks, Houston Rockets, OKC Thunder, all floated as potential destinations. But among the boldest ideas, one in particular stood out. And not just because of the basketball logic, but because of the weight it carries. Giannis Antetokounmpo playing alongside Stephen Curry on the Golden State Warriors. Yes, it sounds like a dream. But if the hypothetical proposal suggested by Logan Reardon of NBC holds any weight, there might be a viable path. The package? A flood of assets. Draymond Green, Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Quentin Post, and no less than 3 unprotected first-round picks, 2026, 2028, and 2030, plus pick swaps in 2027, 2029, and 2031. It's a full-on sacrifice of present and future, a true all-in move. And now, suddenly, names like Kuminga and Moody take on a different role in this story. Kuminga's limited playing time this season, his inconsistent role in the rotation, his absence in 35 games, all of it takes on new meaning. What if the Warriors were simply preserving their most valuable young asset for a blockbuster trade? What if the lack of public explanations wasn't mismanagement but strategy? Golden State is living a dilemma. The dynasty, built around Curry, Thompson, Green, has already started to unravel. Klay Thompson, a franchise legend, is no longer on the roster. His absence is already being felt emotionally and tactically. Draymond is still around with his energy, his calculated chaos, but the clock is ticking. This season could be the swan song or the beginning of a new era, but that will depend on a bold decision. Trading the young core, letting go of the future, and betting that Giannis, alongside Steph, can deliver not just one more title, but a new reign. At 30, Giannis still has at least 3 MVP-level seasons ahead of him. The fit next to Curry could be terrifying. Deadly pick and rolls. Giannis running in transition with the planet's most dangerous shooters stretching the floor. Draymond would be gone, but Giannis could take over much of his role, with more scoring, more power in the paint, and proven defensive leadership. But that move comes at a price, and it's steep. Kuminga, even with irregular minutes, averaged 15.3 points per game. Podziemski impressed as a rookie. Moody is still valued around the league. And Draymond, despite his controversies, is the emotional anchor of the franchise. Losing all of them at once isn't easy. And of course, packaging 6 draft picks into one deal means giving up any margin for error through the rest of the decade. Yet, that's exactly where the Warriors are. The window is closing. Curry still plays at an elite level, but the years are catching up. The roster has aged. The rotation needs new blood or a new legend. And Giannis is exactly that. What would the Bucks do? Without Lillard, trading Giannis may become inevitable, starting over with young talent like Kuminga and Podziemski, handing the keys to a carefully controlled rebuild. For them, it could be a strategic opportunity. For the Warriors, one last dance toward the top. Meanwhile, on the court, the Warriors are still fighting. They're in the middle of a playoff series against the Houston Rockets in the Western Conference quarterfinals. And they could clinch the series in Game 6 at home in Chase Center. But behind the scenes, the real game is being played. A game of silence, meetings, and decisions that shape legacies. So let me ask you, if you were Mike Dunleavy Jr., would you risk it all for Giannis? Would you give up Kuminga, Moody, Draymond, and half the franchise's future for a shot at an immediate title? Or would you bet on the development of the young core? Leave your opinion in the comments. Is this trade a dream, madness, or the only path forward? And if you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because in the next episode we're breaking down how Lillard's injury could trigger the most unexpected rebuild in the East, and why the Miami Heat might emerge as the Warriors' direct rival in the race for Giannis. If you live and breathe the NBA in every detail, this is your place. Turn on the notification bell, share with your friends, and come along for the ride, because the NBA never sleeps. And here, we tell the story the way it deserves to be told, with intensity, context, and soul.